The Marvel comic universe is a very traditional comic book universe in the sense that we are following a world that is very similar to ours, only it is populated by superpowered people. And outside of the traditional hero and villain label, there is also several different categories of powered people. First up are the mutants. They were born with their powers, and generally their powers end up manifesting around puberty. And some of the most well-known characters are pictured here from left to right. We have Kitty Pryde, Beast, Cyclops, Wolverine and Emma Frost, and traditionally they are run by a man named Charles Xavier, aka Professor X. You then have mutates who got their powers later, so this is characters like Luke Cage, the Fantastic Four, She-Hulk, and potentially most famously Spider-Man. Then there are Inhumans, whose powers are innate but they have to be activated. They're a little less well known, but you will most likely recognise Black Bolt, or if you're an Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. fan, you'll recognise Daisy Johnson. Then you have the Sorcerers, who are people who learned magic later in life, including Doctor Strange, Jericho Drumm, and Wong. You then have people with special skill sets like Tony Stark, who made his Iron Man suit, Natasha Romanoff, a trained Red Room assassin, and Hank Pym, who created Pym particles which allow him to grow and shrink at will. There are also several alien species, including the symbiotes, Gamora, and the Skrulls. Then you also have the gods like Thor, Loki, and Hercules. And then finally there are the supernatural and cosmic beings like Werewolf by Night and Eternity. And of course, because they're all superpowered people, they end up in different teams together. The most important ones being the X-Men for the mutants, the Avengers, which is generally a mix of mutants, mutates, Inhumans and all others I've just mentioned. And finally the Fantastic Four, who generally have the same lineup every single time, with the exceptions of Black Panther and Storm, who briefly replaced Reed and Sue, and the time when Spider-Man, Wolverine, the Hulk and the Ghost Rider replaced the entire team. Then there are a great many offshoots from these teams, including the New Avengers, whose lineup changes with basically every iteration, the New Mutants, whose lineup changes also fairly frequently, and the Young Avengers, whose lineup once again changes fairly frequently. Other important teams include the Thunderbolts, which generally involves villains trying to do better and be heroic, the Guardians of the Galaxy, who deal with more galactic threats, and the Defenders, who generally deal with street-level New York. The main organisations to know about are S.H.I.E.L.D., which is run generally by either Nick Fury, Maria Hill or Daisy Johnson, Hydra, a neo-fascist organisation generally associated with the Red Skull and Baron von Strucker, and AIM, who are scientists who try to take over the world using technology. Most of what I've just mentioned all takes place in a universe called Earth 616, but there are other universes as well, including Earth 6110, which is where the Ultimate Universe exists. Each universe is very similar in the sense that you are dealing with superheroes and things like this, but generally they do not cross over, so if you just want to focus on 616, you can absolutely do that. Anything outside of Earth 616 is very clearly labelled, so you will not be picking anything up by accident. In terms of good starting points for the comics, I would say Earth 6110 is actually a pretty good place to start, but if you want to focus on 616, you cannot go wrong with the Epic Collections, as each of these epic collections goes back to the beginning of the character and follows them from their origin story through the next few decades. And that is your explanation to the Marvel comic universe in under 5 minutes. So I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, please do give me a thumbs up. Comment down below, tell me if there's any other video like this you'd like to see me do so I can get working on it. And please don't forget to subscribe to see more of my videos where I'm going to be talking more about the Marvel comic universe and the Marvel cinematic universe. But until next time everyone, bye!